Step 2 on building out a fishing kayak is creating a way to get it to and from the launch, and more importantly, to and from your garage or your shop, wherever you're going to work for it. Stay tuned and I'll show you how I made the cheapest do-it-yourself kayak cart on YouTube. There are a lot of videos on YouTube that show you how to make a kayak cart out of PVC and a million connectors. I'm not going to do that because that's expensive. I saw one video where one of the viewers added up the total cost of that kayak cart and it was over 80 bucks. So here's the first rule. If you can't make a kayak cart for less than $50, you need to just go buy one. I looked on Amazon and there are plenty of choices, many with high ratings, that are about $49. So what am I going to do? Well, I'm not going to use PVC. I'm going to use the stuff I've just got hanging around my shop. But first, I got to clean up this mess. Let's address the elephant in the room here, which is wheels. These will be the most expensive component of your do-it-yourself kayak cart. Now, I went over to Lowe's the other day to see what wheels cost, and I was stunned at what the price was. You can see it right here in this picture. They were like 15 bucks and up. Well, I got these wheels on an earlier hack at Harbor Freight. They cost about 5 bucks each, so I would recommend you look for a cheaper solution than a Home Depot or Lowe's. Harbor Freight always has sales. Check them out. Now, the other component of this is just going to be scrap wood that I've got laying around anywhere. But if you had to go out and buy it, you'd have to go out and buy one 8-foot 2x4, which is going to cost about $3.50 or so today with the current lumber prices. Then you're going to need a little bit of hardware. I'm going to go ahead and use carriage bolts, some washers, some nuts, and all these are going to add up to about, I don't know, $6.50, $7. So all in on this build, discounting the cost of any screws and glue, is about 20 bucks. Pretty cheap. Well, let's get to the build. So here it is. A bunch of scrap wood, a couple wheels, and the hardware. Now, what I thought I was originally going to need to do is get a piece of angle iron like this to be able to mount the axle through to support the wheels. But I realized you don't really need this because you've got the wood. And I'll show you what I mean later, and it's going to be just fine to support the wheels and the weight of your kayak. So I'm going to take this back and get back the 4 bucks it cost me. Here's the finished product. Let's go ahead and drill in to the connections and I'll explain what I did. So here's the vertical piece. This measures 13 inches from here to here, which is the height of my kayak. Then I used the cross piece, which I measured to be 34.5, just a ½ inch bigger than the width of my kayak, and I connected it into the vertical using 3.5 inch deck screws in these two pieces of wood to ensure that this would be braced. I also glued all the joints. Then up at the top, I have a hook with a rubber strap that'll go across the kayak to make sure that this stays level. Then finally, down here on the wheels, I've got my nut on this side, nut on this side to ensure that the wheel stands off. Now, it's going to wobble a little bit, but that doesn't really matter. Let's go put it into action. I'm out here to run it the first time, and I discovered that I made an error. I should not have had this as high because now the strap does not compress against the top of the kayak. So I'll just make the quick modification. I'll cut this off about right here, reapply the hook, and then I will have tension across the top of the kayak to keep it on the carrier. There's always something that you got to fix. Now I know some of you guys are going to ask, this is pretty bulky. How am I going to transport it to and from the boat launch? Well, it's pretty simple. Just turn it upside down, put it on top of the kayak in the back of the truck, and I'm off to the races. There you go. Step 2 on building out your kayak. Make it so you can transport it either to the boat launch, or in my case, I need to get it back and forth to the shop. You saw where I have it stored over on the side of the house. So under 20 bucks. If you guys have ideas on how to make this thing cheaper, please throw it down below. I think this is probably the cheapest I've seen out on YouTube, but I'm always open for improvements that will make this more cost effective. So look through the crud you have in the back of your shop, back of your garage. You've probably got all the components you need except a bolt and a wheel to put together this kayak cart. And one final point, if you decide to go with a PVC model, do not make one that relies on the scupper holes. You do not want to put any weight or stress on the inside of those scupper holes, because that is the weakest part of the kayak and the most prone to cracking. Happy transporting. Now I'm off to step 3, which is going to be seating.